Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Rezolve AI today was up about 6%. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be going over why I think a larger rally could be coming. There's more and more talk on places like X and on StockTwits that a rally to the $7 to $9 range could be coming very soon. Now, I actually think it could be more aggressive than that. Yes. I think we could be higher than $9 a share very soon. I think an end of the year rally is about to get started and kicked into high gear. Okay. I guess a lot of the nervousness in markets has been around AI and CapEx and big tech earnings coming next week. That has created a lot of the volatility as we talked about in the last video. If you've not watched that, check it out. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to waste your time. Check that link out down below in the description of today's episode. If you want to come invest with us, we do short-term trades and all of that. But what we're really doing is investing in under the radar AI companies, energy companies, biopharmas, gene editing, quantum robotics. You get the idea. AI is in a 10+ year bull market. It's going to come and go. There's going to be waves where robotics are popular and GPUs and semiconductors and software, and you get the idea. We don't even know yet, but there's going to be new things that evolve with AI. The idea is we want to seek out the stocks that Wall Street is ignoring, okay? That is how we have been able to outperform all hedge funds and institutions year to date. Rezolve is one example, but there's many others. Come join us. Link down below in the description of today's episode. But let's talk about why I think Rezolve is about to rally, where the stock could be going next, the news today, and my position in Rezolve. All right, ladies and gentlemen, first things first. Of the people that know about Rezolve, Rezolve is a very under-the-radar stock. There's not even a lot of retail investors that know about Rezolve. If we take a look at StockTwits, you know, it doesn't get a lot of coverage, okay? As far as people that have it on their watch list, only 10,321. That's nothing. That's literally nothing. Okay, well, I think that's about to change. I think agentic commerce is going to be a hot wave in this market. Okay, I believe really AI stocks and software in general, but when you have a company like Rezolve trading at the kind of valuation Rezolve is trading at, it's only a matter of time, in my view, before the stock goes parabolic. Now, if you don't know, you're about to learn something crazy. Rezolve is the cheapest AI stock that you can buy on the markets. Okay? Cheapest. For an example, Palantir is trading at 70 times next year's projected revenue. Guess where Rezolve is trading? Rezolve is trading at about 2.8 times next year's revenue. Okay? You could point out any other AI stock, and they're all trading at much higher multiples than Rezolve, okay? So that's one aspect of it. I think buying Rezolve is a lot less risky than a lot of other stocks from a valuation perspective. The big question is, when do more people catch on to Rezolve? When do more people start to, like, figure out about the company? And that's a question I don't have the answer to. I believe it's going to be soon. Now, it could be an investment from NVIDIA. It could be a prominent firm that starts to cover the company. Like, sure, there's a lot of price targets on Rezolve. Okay. There's some really good price targets on Rezolve. Okay. Rezolve has, recent price targets of $12.50, $7, $15 since their last earnings, $7, $10, $9. Okay, you get the idea. The average analyst price target is $9 on the stock. The stock is $4.74. The problem is people don't know about Rezolve. Now, the company puts out a lot of press releases. Maybe it's a big contract or partnership with another company. Shopify actually could be a partnership that could make a lot of sense for Rezolve and Shopify, but we'll have to see. The point I'm making is you are one news event away from the stock going above $10 a share with the kind of valuation that Rezolve has. Okay? One piece of news away. Now, Rezolve did put out a piece of news today, as they typically do. It says, Rezolve AI is proud to have Rocilo Lopez, founder of Truther and SmartPay, representing our team at the Tether-hosted Plan B forum in Lugano, leading an important conversation on, quote, the intersection between stablecoins and financial institutions in Latin America. If you don't know, Rezolve just recently bought SmartPay and SubSquid, but SmartPay does a lot of business in South America. Okay, so could there be something larger coming in South America between Rezolve, SmartPay, and crypto? There very well could be, and that is something that we should have on our radar. Now, the company also recently appointed some new key senior management positions. That this news, I think, would have been seen as really positive if the markets had not been crashing. Okay, Rezolve put out this news on October 22nd, 2 days ago. The markets were crashing. People were fearful about AI, about China, about the government shutdown, about, upcoming earnings and CPI this morning. And this news kind of got brushed under the rug. Okay, but it could be one of the reasons why Rezolve is outperforming so much today. Now, in recent option activity, you have two different trades totaling $102.66 thousand with a positive order value of 100%. The last trade from hedge funds and institutions was a May 14th, 2026 $15 call with a break even of $15.85 per share. People are, some firms are betting on some significant upside for the stock. Now, Rezolve currently has short interest of 9.77%. I'm going to point this out because hedge funds and institutions, they don't want to short the stock. Okay? If they were really bearish on the stock, the short interest would be like other AI stocks, 20, 30%. It's not an ideal setup trying to short Rezolve with the valuation profile that the company has. The stock is dirt cheap. Okay, for AI stocks growing in at hundreds of percents, it's not a great setup to be shorting Rezolve. Now, the stock is priced for, or in a sense, I should say, that they're not going to hit their numbers. Now, if they don't hit their numbers for next year, that's a problem, right? That's a big problem. But if they can hit those numbers or exceed them, you are going to make a substantial amount of money in Rezolve. Okay? And I think you're, again, one partnership away. One big contract away. I don't know when that news is going to drop, but I do think it is coming soon. Now, I think broadly speaking in the markets, okay, we're going to get through big tech earnings next week, and boom, a big risk catalyst is gone. There's reason to believe that Trump and China's president are going to get along and start talking again. Boom, that is great. Next week, the Fed is set to likely stop quantitative tightening. That is very historically bullish for stocks. They're going to be cutting rates next week. Okay? And Rezolve has went from $8.45 down to $4.73 for no reason. Okay? Putting out a massive guidance raise. Okay? The stock actually did very well following earnings. The stock was up about 2%, and then it was up 24%, then it was up 8%, and then the last 2.5 weeks, the stock has been selling off. Okay? That's largely because of what happened in the broader market. So the stock after earnings hit $7.59. The only difference between now and then is sentiment. Nothing has happened for the company that is negative anyways. The only thing that has changed is sentiment. And when sentiment is flip-flopping like that, that's an opportunity. Now, the stock also has an RSI of 43, which is the lowest RSI the company has had since it was like $1.30. The stock is oversold from its own standpoint. Now, another thing that I really like about Rezolve is the ownership structure, okay? It's always a good sign to see a lot of insider ownership, okay? And when it comes to insiders, Rezolve is heavy on the insiders, okay? So, C. Crow Limited, which is partially, it's like Dan Wagner's company that owns Rezolve. They own 14% of shares. Iger here owns 11.5%. Brooks Newmark owns 6%. Bradley Wickens owns 4%. Aston Wagner owns 3.31%. Coca Wagner owns 3.31%. BlackRock owns 1.58%. Dan Wagner 1.56%. You get the idea. There is a lot of insider ownership. Okay, a ton of insider ownership. And that's a good thing to see. Now, you also have a lot of other firms like Citadel. Citadel owns 15.1 million shares. They own 5% of the company. Citadel bought at $6.67. I'm sure Citadel has a pretty good idea of what is coming next for Rezolve. I doubt Citadel bought the stock up here towards the highs if they did not think the company was going to do well. Okay? Highly, highly, highly doubt that. Okay? So all of these signs lead towards, upside for the stock. And I actually think we're going to be heading into over the next 2 months into the end of this year, one of the most aggressive short-term rallies we have seen in a very long time. Okay? Centered around AI and AI industries. Okay? And I think Wall Street's starting to catch on to the real opportunity with agentic AI. I want to play you guys this short video. This lady here says we are not in an AI bubble. I actually played this in the last video, but she specifically talks about where she's most bullish on AI in this market. She says she's most bullish on agentic AI. Okay? Rezolve's not even in that conversation yet. What do you think happens when people start to talk about Rezolve? They start to understand and realize, oh my gosh, Rezolve's a $1.4 billion company guiding for $500 million in ARR next year. It is the cheapest AI stock on the markets. What do you think is going to happen? Now, again, with the heavy insider ownership, early adopters in retail, institutions finally starting to buy the stock is very volatile because there's not a lot of shares that trade on the markets. Yesterday, the volume was 10.6 million. If you look at that on a dollar-denominated basis, yesterday, the high of the day was $4.50, low of the day of $4.33. Let's use, $4.40 as kind of a midpoint for the day. There was $46.5 million traded in Rezolve. That is nothing. Okay? Look at BBAI. Let's pick on BBAI. Yesterday, there was 114.3 million shares that traded hands. Okay? And this is just going to show you how crazy the difference is with, Rezolve versus some of these other stocks. It really puts it into perspective just how under the radar it is. But BBAI had a high of the day of $6.90, a low of the day of $6.56. Let's call it $6.70 as a midpoint. And BBAI had $763 million in dollars that traded in the stock yesterday. What did Rezolve have? 46 million. 15 times less. What do you think happens if $200 million in volume trades hands in Rezolve with the kind of ownership structure that Rezolve has? It's going to cause significant upside. Now, I want to position before that upside happens. I want to position with the information I have now early, and that is what I am doing.
AI native from the outset.
All right. I want to get to your pick as well. It's outside of the AI space, but it's AI related because of agentic AI. Talk to me about why you're so excited about the retail space and AI.
So we think that agentic commerce is going to redefine the retail landscape. And there's a lot of talk about how OpenAI is going after Google. We think what doesn't get enough attention is the threat that OpenAI and others pose to Amazon when it comes to agentic commerce, because Amazon adopts a walled garden approach. They're very, very unlikely to allow a third-party agent to crawl through their site. In fact, they're writing their AI policies right now to make it harder.
Shopify. So you're saying Shopify is using agentic AI in a way that's going to threaten Amazon's dominance?
Absolutely. So Shopify is positioning itself to be the agentic rails for e-commerce. They inked a partnership deal with OpenAI. And I mean, there are three things that you really need to be the agentic rails for commerce. You need the inventory, you need the real-time price discovery, and you need trusted payments. And Shopify has got the highest converting checkout on the internet. And so what matters here, it's not about how big the company is, so Amazon doesn't have an advantage. It's about the end-to-end technology stack and consumer intent. You've got to be where those consumers want to buy.
Yeah, you just heard that right. She said it's not about the size of the company. It's about the end-to-end software stack the company has, and that they're actually able to help consumers. Huh? That is Rezolve. Hello. I mean, hello, Wall Street. Rezolve right here. Cheapest stock in the markets. AI stock, that is. That is beating ChatGPT and Llama and some of these AI models with their own large language model with e-commerce. Crazy. Okay, now before I show you guys my position in Rezolve, how much skin I have in the game in this stock, if you will, I want to go over two different scenarios. I think a broad end of the year rally is coming in the markets. That's going to serve Rezolve well. That's going to serve other stocks well also. But if we get partnership news, if we get contract PRs, okay, where Rezolve is showing a contract that they got or something, if we get any kind of large news like that, NVIDIA takes a stake or any other company takes a stake in the company, what have you, that's where I think Rezolve could see its valuation become kind of one-to-one parity with other similar AI stocks on the marketplace. What does that mean? Well, a lot of AI stocks are trading between 15 and 20 times next year's sales. Some, again, like Palantir, are trading a lot higher than that. You could go to the midpoint and say 17 times sales, times that by the projected 500 million in ARR next year. That's an $8.5 billion market cap company. I think could happen pretty damn quickly if we get news. Okay, that would be a 6x from here. That would put the stock at roughly $28, $29 per share by the end of this year. Like, I think a very large rally could be coming over the next 3 months. Now, if we don't get any news, then I would expect that Rezolve, and I mean, we're going to get news over the next 3 months, but if we don't get any big news, then I would expect just with this broader market rally, that's going to send you above $10 a share. That's going to send you between $10 and $15 a share into the end of this year. Okay. But the question is, do we get big news? Okay. Are we going to be $10 a share by December 31st? or are we going to be almost $30 a share by December 31st? Let me know your thoughts on that down below in the comment section. Now, as far as my position in Rezolve in this portfolio, I have 15,000 shares invested for 126 days. Average cost basis $3.31 a share, up 43.3%, or up $21,407. Current market value $71,000. Okay, in this portfolio, I have 14,100 shares. Average cost $2.97, up $24,818. Current market value $66,752. I do have these 15 Rezolve 250 calls for February 20th, 2026. So that's basically 1,500 shares in option equivalent. So 1,500 plus 14,100 plus 15,000 gives you 30,600 shares. I do have 1,000 shares in Webull, 1,300 shares in Thinkorswim. That is total exposure in Rezolve at 32,900 shares times $4.73 is $155,617 in the stock. Okay, so we have a lot of money in Rezolve. But for the reasons we talked about in this video, I think it's one of the easiest stocks to own in this market. It's a no-brainer to me. As long as the company hits the numbers, which they said, quote unquote, on the earnings call, they set guidance to beat guidance. Okay, so Rezolve believes they will beat the guidance that they set of 500 million for next year and 150 million in ARR to exit this year. Okay, so great. The stock is a no-brainer to own right now. Like, Wallstreet is clearly missing this one. And I think inevitably Rezolve's hype cycle will come and its valuation might not get hypey, okay? Because for Rezolve's valuation to get hypey, the stock has to be like $50 a share. Like, could that happen over the next 3 months? Yes. But just getting to a comparable multiple of other AI stocks today could send the stock to $30 a share, okay? Even if it starts to trade at half of the valuation of other stocks, that'd be a $5 billion valuation at 10 times sales. The stock is at a $1.4 billion market cap. That's the stock well over $15 a share. Just to trade at roughly half of the valuation of other AI stocks. Again, this is why it was so easy to buy the dip and Rezolve in the low $4 range, because the valuation is dirt cheap. Wallstreet is missing it, and if they want to give me free money, I'll take it. So that's how I feel. It's my position. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Okay, are you buying Rezolve? Do you own Rezolve? Is this the first time you are hearing about Rezolve? What do you think about it broadly? If you guys want to come trade with us, we go a lot deeper than just Rezolve. Rezolve is one of like 20 different stocks right now we've identified as having massive potential upside. And we'd like you to come join us. That link is down below. That is it. Have a great rest of your day, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you in the next one.